Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. I hope you are doing well. I certainly am. I'm really excited for the video today. I mentioned already in another video that I'm super thrilled to share a little bit more about my international portfolio that I have. And in today's video, we're gonna do exactly that. We're gonna have a look into the structure of my international portfolio. And we also gonna look into a couple of individual positions. We're gonna talk a little bit about Slack, my investment in Slack there, and what happened there recently. We're gonna talk about one swing trade I made last week. I don't do them very often, but last week was a good opportunity. So we talk a little bit about the swing trade that I did with a company called Gaussian. A French company, and the last one will be the best and worst performer in my current international portfolio. And I'm going to tell you already what those stocks are. That's Alibaba and Cloudflare. And I'm going to show you why they are a good investment and why they are a not so good performing investments in my portfolio. So you're going to see all that in my video. Starting straight away with the structure of my portfolio. As I mentioned, those are the two shares that are the worst and best performer. And you can already make a guess and leave a comment what you think is the better or the worst performer in my portfolio. But we're going to see that later on. Structure of my international portfolio. In total, in my international portfolio, I have 37 holdings. 30 of them are my actual long-term holding, individual companies where I hold shares from individual companies. I have usually around 0 to 4 or 5 positions that are short-term investments, either swing trading or some really just even sometimes on a day. It does not happen too often, but I'll try to hold at least stocks for a couple of days, because acting on just one day is just too hard for me, too time consuming, and it would literally need much more monitoring of the current market. But sometimes there are opportunities where you can hold companies for just a couple of days, and when I see that, I'll try to do that. And the last one is my ETFs. I have 3 different ETFs in my portfolio, and I actually put money into those ETF every month. So I basically constantly invest into those ETFs, and those ETFs are from the S&P 500, from emerging markets, and an MDAX, which is the medium-size DAX in Germany. And so those are the 3 ETFs that I constantly putting money into, basically as a savings plan to have my diversification that way on top of the individual holdings I have. So looking a little bit into the actual structure in what type of companies I'm investing in, and what are the largest holdings, for example. And my portfolio is very, very focused on technology. And I've mentioned already, this is because I tend to understand technology companies much better than I understand other companies. And I understand what their product is. I understand what the future market of those products could look like. My background is IT, so I'm better in understanding technology companies than any other type of companies. For example, companies from the oil industry, or production companies, or whatever, you name it. So many different options, but technology companies are, first of all, I understand them better, and also I believe that there's just so much future potential in those companies. A lot of new, but also very good and established companies that are on the share market, especially in US. But that's my main focus in my portfolio. But I also have some very conservative investments as well, some in the energy sector, some in the real estate, mainly in Germany, so companies that operate in Germany, and consumer staples, some companies. And my 3 top holdings, you can see it on the screen already. I'll make it a little bit larger. it's Alphabet, Cloudflare, and Beyond Meat. Beyond Meat is actually the newest one of those investments. I used the recent price drop to actually establish a position in Beyond Meat because I believe that that market in general has great potential in constructed meat, and so that's why I established a position in Beyond Meat. And yeah, Alphabet is just a company that I believe is just a long-term great investment. I really like Alphabet and previous Google and what they are doing. I like that they have exposure into the cloud market, and they are just a really great company. And I believe that the price actually, even at the moment, is not too bad for such a great company. And Cloudflare, I've talked a couple of times about Cloudflare. I believe that Cloudflare has just a really good product to offer. I believe that the product is such a good thing, and we're gonna see what the share the chart looks like. So that what the share price has appreciated over the last couple of months, and it's just amazing to see what they did. And last, I want to point out that I try to find companies that are somehow disrupting an industry. And yes, that's especially companies that have some technology to offer, to just do something different to how it has been done for many, many years. No? And there are so many examples for that. I really like Uber, for example, as an investment as well. The taxi industry and the transport industry was very constant for a long time. Taxi industry is there for so many years and basically untouched, also because of regulations. But Uber and Lyft and some others just try to disrupt to that market. And I think there is some future disruption coming as well. So obviously at the moment, every Uber or Lyft driver still needs to be there to operate the cars. But in the future, and I don't even think that's too far away, that those companies will offer driverless taxi operation. And that obviously will make the entire operation much, much cheaper. And yeah, other sectors that I really like are modern payment solution systems. So something that PayPal is offering, or Square, really good. And future markets like health, or companies that operate in markets like AR or VR technology. That's really interesting, and many more. And that's why I probably left there a sign to indicate that there are many more industries that I actually like. So yeah, that's my international portfolio structure in general. Let's talk a little bit about one of my investments, and that is Slack. So you can see here, there was the price from Slack, and we see that in the chart in just a minute, appreciated on one day over 30%, almost 40, I think. Salesforce, one of the cloud providers for business software, started to talk about a potential purchase of Slack, the workplace app Slack. I really liked Slack even before that announcement. So I'm invested in Slack for a couple of months now, because the price was at a level where I thought it's an attractive company. But now with that announcement, obviously the price jumped and skyrocketed massively, because Salesforce obviously sees the opportunity to buy a company that is growing massively, especially in the communication, basically around communication in cloud infrastructures. Microsoft has their own product, Microsoft Teams, and Salesforce basically tries to buy Slack to get a market share of that as well. So I find that really interesting, and that will definitely put Salesforce in a very good position. But obviously, shareholders from Slack benefited massively from that. And yeah, just some comments from that article that I want to read out. A deal could be announced before Slack reporting quarterly earnings on December 9th. So not too far away, and we will have certainty about if that deal actually will go ahead and what the terms and conditions are. Salesforce has been beefing up its cloud business through acquisitions and had spent more than 60 billion last year to fend off competition from rivals such as Oracle or the German competitor SAP. SAP, for example, I talked about one of the companies about that company recently as well. It's a German company, very established, but with an old business model, and they somehow missed a little bit the opportunity to move into cloud as well. Salesforce has done that much better, and they're obviously heavily investing to get either more smaller companies that are in that space, or they're also investing in their own infrastructure to make sure that they are prepared and ready for the future. So that's really interesting to see. And now let's have a quick look at the chart. And this is just amazing. And yeah, luckily I purchased into the company when it was at around this level here, I believe. So it got up a little bit, got down a little bit again. So it was up at the level where I purchased it. However, yeah, a massive increase in the share price over the last couple of days. And to be honest, I believe that it will stay on that level until obviously we know what actually will happen with that deal that is there for Salesforce. And yeah, just gonna wait and see how that will turn out, if Salesforce actually buys the entire company and will take it off the market, or what that purchase from Slack into Salesforce actually will look like. However, great price appreciation in really just a short time. And I was really excited to see and read those news. Yeah, going one step further, I mentioned that I want to talk about one swing trade I made over the last week. And I started that, we're going to see the details, I think exactly 1 week ago, I think. So yeah, and the company is Gaussing. It's a French company that has quite a modern product. So they are producing vehicles that are then purchased from companies like Airbus or airport operators to either fuel aircrafts or have some other basically jobs on airports, so they can fuel aircraft. They can have other setups so that they drive and basically transport very heavy equipment, for example. And the benefit here, and that's the focus for Gaussing, they are all electric vehicles, and some of them are even self-driving vehicles. So that's the entire idea behind it, that you have electric self-driving vehicles that then operate on airports and within that industry. So really interesting, and they are very successful, and they just announced some deals, and therefore the share price appreciated. And I was lucky to get into the share price at a level just a week ago when it was around €6.50. So that was just before it started to go up. And I was able to ride it, that uptrend, for a week. And basically in just 7 days, I was really, of course, I was lucky to ride that all the way up. And that was plus 46% on my invested capital, which is obviously great. And I know this does not happen all the time. And I definitely, I mentioned at the beginning that I'm not doing a lot of those swing trades. However, when I see opportunities, I try to jump onto it and take them and see how that goes. And I tend to just start and initiate that investment. And if it works well and it goes over, let's say 15%, for example, I just put in a trailing stop, because I don't want to sell straight away. I want to see how this could turn out and how much more potential there is. So I try to say, look, I'll put in a trailing stop, which is 5% lower than the current price, for example. So if the price goes higher, the trailing stop goes higher with it as well. But as soon as the price drops lower than 5% of the recent high, it automatically sells the shares. And that always gives me the benefit of not being too worried about what happens to the share price, because I know, when I put that in, when I have 15%, I know I probably have 10% gain. And even if it goes 5% lower, I still have my 10%. And if it goes higher, I might even appreciate from a further price gain. So here was really lucky, and just an example of how a swing trade could look like that I do. But again, my main portfolio usually long-term investments, and that's what I like most. And we're going to see that in just a minute, because looking into two of the shares, as I mentioned at the beginning, that I really like a lot. So Alibaba Group, obviously already a very, very established company in China, the largest competitor basically on an international basis to Amazon. It's a massive, massive industry, and obviously over the last couple of months there were a lot of talk in the markets, because they trying to bring the Ant Group onto as a public listed company as well, which is a daughter company that is in the finance sector. So they do payments. So basically something like PayPal or Square that does payments, but much, much larger. So it would have been a massive, massive IPO, and Alibaba would have obviously benefited from that IPO. And unfortunately, that IPO did not go ahead, at least not until now. And maybe it will go ahead, but at the moment it's still very uncertain. So my investment there, I think it was just definitely not a great timing. I potentially should have waited until the price goes down a little bit, but look, that's how it is. It's a long-term investment for me, so I'm not too worried about that at all. I'm gonna hold on to Alibaba, and but yeah, my current position is in the red with minus 15%, and I purchased beginning of November. When it actually was around the highs, so just before it hits the latest highs. But yeah, again, very positive for the company in the long term. Last company I have today to present is my favorite investment, and of course it's my favorite investment because it's one of my best investment, long-term investments, and I'm very much looking forward to see that it will go over 100% in price appreciation, and I'm quite certain that will happen. Obviously, don't know the timing for that, and maybe the price goes down a little bit again, and that totally can happen. But I think long term, that's still very, very positive. I spoke about the company a couple of times already on the channel. I really like Cloudflare. I like the product. They have now a product, or they have recreated their product line a little bit, and their product now called Cloudflare One, and that includes just a couple of product lineups that are just easier, that they basically have recreated the price model around that as well. So it's easier to understand what you need, so that you basically buy the things that you need for your business to make your internet platform, your cloud environment more secure, faster, and more reliable, basically. And yeah, I purchased the stock in August at around $40 US, and we are now at over $75 US, so plus 83% in just a couple of months. And I'm again very, very positive on the long-term future for that company. So yeah, I hope this little overview about my international portfolio was interesting to you. As I said, I'm really thrilled that I was able to share a little bit of that in this video. There will be more in the future about the holdings that I have, and there are obviously going to be a lot of holdings that I will be able to discuss. As I mentioned, 30 holdings. But yeah, really looking forward to share even more of that in the future. Thanks for watching the video, and as always at the end, the quick disclaimer. The material and information presented in this video are for general information purposes only. You should not rely on any of the information presented as a basis for making your own investment decisions. While I endeavor to present current information, I make no representation or warranty of any kind, express or implied, about the completeness, accuracy, reliability, or suitability of that information for your investment decision. Any reliance you place on such material is therefore strictly at your own risk. And I want to add to that, I'm not a financial advisor, so this is definitely not financial advice. Thanks for watching, and I'm going to see you in the next one. Bye.